Hi, everybody. I am going to do number 29, and the topic is kind of like poking fun at Harry Potter. It's kind of that. And so before I, poke in that direction, I just want to balance the tone with some praise, or at least acknowledge that all of the praise that Harry Potter has received in like decades, I agree with. I think it's 100% honest and deserving. The people who like loudly and repetitively disparage or discredit Harry Potter, that seems, I'm not saying I'm right, but it seems to come from this kind of place of bitterness, maybe, or like, or jealousy, or something like that. Like hey, Harry came along and invited 10 million people to your little D&D party, or whatever. Um, so I think a lot of the criticism is unwarranted and the praise is warranted. But wait, okay, so I'll offer a little praise of my own. One of the most impressive things it accomplished is the spin-off of movies were actually good. To me, I just find this to be uncommon. There's this like chiastic curse where good books make bad movies and bad books make good movies, and that's just my perception, and there's a ton of reasons for this. We can talk about them another time, but and there's, again, there's like exceptions to everything, but this was a major exception, and I think that's awfully impressive. So I'll end my praise there. I've acknowledged that is deserving of praise. Now I'm going to read the journal. Number 29, Thursday, June 23, 2022, Harry Potholes and Sugar Highs. Hi, everyone. A lot of the movies I cherish have flaws, such as Lord of the Rings and Harry Potter. Can we ignore the books and talk about the movies for a minute? They're some of my favorites, but I get distracted by their inconsistencies and I trip on their potholes. Consider Lord of the Rings. Near the end, Sam says, I can't carry it for you, but I can carry you. He says the same thing in the book. How Frodo should have responded is, Sam, had you demonstrated that ability like 45 cinematic minutes ago, we wouldn't be in this situation. But you left me there, limp, spider stabbed, for the orcs to take me. You carried the ring instead. And now you're trying to be helpful. I get it, but you're just being a help fool. That was Frodo making a bad joke at the end, a joke that would have been just as asinine as Sam's statement. I'm not bothered by the super fickle eagles. And in Harry Potter, it's the discrete sets of spells and tools that appear in each book: Polyjuice, Time Turner, Felix Felicis, and so on. If they could have just used those resources in all the books, that would have solved everything. From one book to the next, simply using another book's tools would have created a plot with no conflict. And sometimes within a single movie, the employment of those potions and devices doesn't seem optimized. In Goblet of Fire, for example, the entire plot hinges on a port key, Triwizz Tourney Cup. Port keys are introduced right at the beginning, so you know they'll come up later. The remainder of the movie is just an elaborate scheme to escort Harry to the Triwizz port key. Enormous effort on Pseudo Moody's part to get him there. But if he was really trying to get on Voldy's good side, why didn't he take a different, better, less tortuous tack? Just make a port key from something in his office and then say, hey, Harry, grab me that chapstick, would ya? Zoom, as Harry, as soon as he touches it. Or maybe catch, as he magic tosses Harry an apple or cotton candy. In either case, Harry says sure, and he's whisked off to the graveyard. That way, if he gets whisked back, he'll return to fake Mad Eye's office, and FME can just use the Imperious curse, the control one, which is Imperious spelled wrong, and boomerang Harry right back to Mr. Mort. Seems like a more reliable plan, and I'm not a criminal mastermind like them, so I guess I just don't get it. Or maybe Hermione could have time turned back to the beginning of the maze and warned him, it's a trap! That would have negated the whole plot too. The Potters are wonderful and I cherish them. See Journal 12. My intention is not to be bashful, by which I mean indulge a propensity to bash things. The point I'm attempting to make is this. Most fiction, fantasy included, is candy, filled with sugar, instantly delicious. It's so good, ravenously devoured. I read it in one day. And a postprandial lethargy follows the gluttony, the sugar crash, a mopey stupor in which addicts can be found awaiting their next hit. I understand why writers and food manufacturers cater to this crowd. Everyone loves candy. There's a lot of money to be made by selling it. But as I've gotten older, my tastes have changed. I've come to prefer complexity in the palate. The kale sardine salads of literature, subtler flavors, no empty calories. It can't be ingested in anxious handfuls. One must sit down at the dinner table properly. I want the kind of dining experience that takes a long time to ingest and a really, really long time to prepare. Rothfuss isn't going to deliver, isn't going to serve doors of stone with a gooey, uncooked center covered in sugar so nobody notices. It'll be done right. And so it's worth the wait to me. I guess the point of this journal is to say, I'm probably going to be late in delivering my books. I'm still planning on serving dinner at 6, but I'm not going to put it on the table half cooked. Okay, so that's number 29. And let's end where we began with like praise. To acknowledge potholes is to take nothing away from the fondness of the medium, whatever, of the Harry Potter in this case. And I could do potholes for hours, right? Like for lots of things, like Harry Potter. I mean, I could go, but I think the internet has already done it. I mean, there's like a trillion websites dedicated to like little loopholes and stuff like that in Harry Potter. I mean, I think some of my thoughts, my reflections on it are probably original-ish, but even those, I'm sure there's some deep dive. I haven't really paid attention, some deep dive where like Harry Potter scholars, emerge with the same little jewels and phrase it better. And like, but I'm going to do a couple anyway. So like the names, pretty much all of the names, but like even starting with like Harry Potter himself, if you were my age, in the vicinity, something out of my age, you grew up probably loving Never-Ending Story. And like, this, like turn around, the song, which like, if it took that track, that like take, it would have been a bigger hit. But the actor who played Atreyu in Never-Ending Story, 2 years later, he played Harry Potter, Harry Potter Jr. in Troll, in the movie Troll. And it feels like maybe Rowling kind of co-opted what was already a staple, a little bit of a kind of an icon. For the name, but like all of the names of the spells, I think are a little bit weirder. Now maybe my recollection is wrong, but I recall every spell essentially being like in English with Greek and Latin derivatives of where these things came from. I don't remember any like Japanese or like Korean spells or anything. And like it would have been so much cooler if Neville, if you had like a Swahili spell for agricultural enhancement, or like doing his green thumbing and stuff like that. And like okay, the spell that like tried to kill Harry, abracadabra, that one, like it failed because Harry was loved. Okay, now fine, that's good, that's a good like moral message, but what does that say about every other kind of critter and person who like was killed by it? The implication here is not a happy one, which is like Harry is the only person ever to have experimentally demonstrated that he held the affections of another. Okay, like the world is such an unloving place that like and the reaction, like what, like the real miracle is that somebody was loved by anybody at all. Right. And so you would think like, oh, love makes you invincible. Like it's time for like a hippie revolution. And so that spell never quite made, like perfect. And like on the subject of love and, death, who's Jesus in Harry Potter? Because like you've noticed Christmas, they celebrate Christmas. Who is that? Is it like the purest wizard? Like I don't know. I think you're just like not supposed to notice, and like you're certainly not supposed to ask. So I won't. I'll just stop talking. And so that's it for number 29. I hope you enjoy your potholes en route to the books and movies that you're very patient for. Okay, bye everyone.